though, because I have to be the bearer of bad news. And I have a 16-year-old and a 15-year-old, so I know how we can be, but I gotta say it. They sent me out here to give you the bad news. Okay, don't boo me. So Freddie Freeman was gonna come visit. And I'm serious, he was really upset, and unfortunately, he can't be here. I know, I promise, I'm gonna make it up to you. I swear I'm gonna make it up to you. I'm gonna get booed off the stage. Okay.
Blocking for a second.
Well, I graduated high school, 15 years ago. I went to High School in Orange, actually, about 45 minutes. So my dad is a CPA, and so I love math. Most kids don't say math, I know that, but I do. I love math, the Freemans love math. Who loves math here? Math is my favorite subject.
So at that high school, did you have a favorite teacher that inspired you in high school, and what did they do to motivate you?
Okay, so my favorite teacher was my head baseball coach. His name was Steve Bernard. He was also the PE teacher. Does anybody know my background at all? I lost my mother when I was 10 years old to skin cancer. So my oldest brother was going to High School at that time, and Steve Bernard really helped me through that process. So when I went to High School, Steve was still the coach there, and he really helped me. I was actually 13 years old when I went to school. I was a little young, and I wasn't very good at school. I didn't do all my work all the time, so Coach Bernard really helped me and made me do my work, and got me to have good grades, to get me good enough to be able to go into college. So Steve Bernard, who I still talk to this day, was my biggest influence.
What are some skills you've learned from baseball that you use today?
Well, I think for baseball, it's you have to be a team. You guys got to lean on one another. Even though it's kind of a singular sport, you're up there doing your own at-bat, you're doing your own pitching, but you have to count on so many other people to be able to win a baseball game. So for me, it's being able to lean on one another and trusting in other people to be able to come to a common goal and to win the game. So I think being able to lean on one another is the biggest thing I've learned in baseball, and trusting in my teammates. I got 3 boys now, so we might be getting our own baseball team going here in about 15 years, you know?
Is there a coach or athlete that you look up to now, or
I don't really look up to an athlete. I have a lot of coaches that have influenced me a lot over the course of my career. Who might run around? But I would have to say right now, I grew up watching. I was an Angels fan. I know. Believe me, I grew up 10 minutes from Anaheim Stadium. Give me a break. That's not my fault. That's my dad and mom's fault for making me an Angels fan. But I grew up watching Garrett Anderson, and he was one of my favorite baseball players. He also played with the Dodgers for a year, though. So right now, my favorite coach is going to have to be Dave Roberts. Most of you know I was with the Braves for 12 years, and then I came here, and Dave was a huge help in helping me transition, get my feet settled, help my family get settled. So Dave Roberts has been a big influence for me.
Who was your favorite baseball player growing up?
Ooh, I just said that one, Garrett Anderson. So I don't know, Garrett Anderson was a little bit probably before your guys' time. He was a left-handed hitter for the Angels for a long time, and then he came to the Braves for 1 year, and then he went to the Dodgers to end his career. He had a very beautiful left-handed swing, and I loved watching him hit, and he was also on my favorite team. So I love Garrett Anderson. I have to say Freddie Freeman now, though. He's my favorite baseball player now.
what is the best piece of advice you've gained from your coach?
I've had a lot of good advice over my career. I think my favorite piece of advice, it's more of not to do with baseball. We have so much going on in our lives. Every day we have to leave our families for 10 to 11 hours. Every other week we're going on a road trip and leaving our family. So it's being present in the moment, I think, is the biggest piece of advice that I've gotten. And trying to live each and every day in the moment. And when I leave my family, like, we're going to do all this, and they're going to head back, and I got to be at the baseball field for 10 hours. And you can see what happens. It's chaos. So I try and be as present as I possibly can in each and every single day.
How do you keep your teammates feeling positive and motivated during the game?
During the game? Well, I think it's kind of easy this year. We've won quite a few games, haven't we? It's kind of easy to stay motivated this year, but we've had a couple of tough stretches where the offense scored runs, but that's the beauty of this sport. There's 9 innings, even though we're down in the first couple innings. I think we know we all have a good enough team to come back, and we've proven that this year. We got a lot of good players, a lot of guys that are trusting each other, and when you have a lot of trust built in your team and your friends and things like that, it's easy to stay motivated because each and every person is pulling for one another, and we've been doing that this year. So it's easy to stay motivated when we got 84 wins in like 120 games. You know, it's pretty.
This is going to be a tricky one. Besides baseball, what other sports are you?
Ooh. Well, I grew up playing basketball and football. But right now, I love golf. My family's a big golf family. There's not too many cheers for golf. I'd probably have to say, I grew up loving football and watching football, but who does fantasy football here? A few? So I got really into fantasy football, but now that boys that kind of took a back seat. So I would have to say football and golf would be my two favorites.
So that's all the questions we have for you today.
Okay, awesome.
Actually, we have
Yeah.
one last question.
Okay.
But it's for Charlie though.
Uh-oh.
Freddie, who's your favorite baseball player?
Is everybody okay for our, let's thank Freddie and his family. How much do we love them? Everyone take a look at John. Yeah. Not that. Okay. Okay. On behalf of Freddie's family and the Los Angeles Dodgers, we'd like to present Garfield High School for a check for $7,000.